We've been looking at the evolution of the Grateful Dead when they started out as a hippie psychedelic jam band in San Francisco, evolved into sort of the folk music Americana phase, did some incredible live recordings and albums as a result, moved into Eastern influence and everything in between. It definitely has been a long, strange trip. And now we're going to look at what happens to the Grateful Dead in the 1980s and 1990s when they get a touch of gray. So are you ready to continue this long, strange trip? Well then, let's drop the needle. In 1979, both Keith and Donna Godchuk had left the Grateful Dead. So the Dead decide to hire a replacement. And his name is Brent Meidlin, a well-known musician in the Bay Area. According to their contract with the record label, the Dead had to record another studio album before they could do a live record. So the band decides they'll go into the studio with Brent to put out a new album. It's their 11th studio album, and it's called Go to Heaven. Now, to say that Deadheads hate this cover would be an understatement. Some have said that it makes the band look like Disco Kings, and it's the first time that the band appears on the cover, with the exception of the stylized Working Man's Dead album. Other criticism is the new vocalist Brent sounds like a smoothed-over Michael McDonald. The album got very mixed reviews, but it did reach number 23 on the charts. It contained two singles, Alabama Getaway and Don't Ease Me In. Besides those two, I like Althea, Feel Like a Stranger. With their obligation to record a studio album out of the way, the Dead now decide to release live recordings. And the first one to come out is a double live recording called Reckoning. And then it's followed very quickly with another double live recording called Dead Set. Reckoning hits 43 on the charts. Dead Set does better, reaching 29. After this barrage of live recording, the Dead enter a fairly dark time. Jerry Garcia's health is deteriorating. He's using a lot of heroin and he's gaining a lot of weight, and he's basically becoming listless on stage. And fans are worried about him. And then in 1986, he slips into a coma, leading to all concerts being canceled. But he does recover, and in 1987, they release a new album. It's their first in over 6 years. It's called In the Dark. It's propelled by that smash hit, Touch of Grey, which is their only top 40 single, which went all the way to number 6. But I also like Hell in a Bucket and Throwing Stones. Based on Touch of Grey, the album does really well, going all the way to number 6. It's their only top 10 album, and it's their biggest seller. The Dead are alive and kicking, and then they go out on tour with Bob Dylan, and they record so they can release an album. But the album takes 2 years to come out, and when the album is released, it's all Dylan songs, with the Dead basically just being his backup band. And critics hated the album, said it's possibly the worst album by either Bob Dylan or the Grateful Dead. So the Dead go back into the studio and release their 13th and what turns out to be their final studio album, called Built to Last. I like Foolish Heart, Built to Last, and Standing on the Moon. The album reaches 27 on the charts, but just shortly after the album, Brent Meidlin dies of drug overdose. He's replaced by Vince Wernick of the Tubes, and Bruce Hornsby helping out while Wernick is learning the songs. The band continues to tour. In 1990, the new band, with Vince and Bruce, decide to release another live album. This will be their 8th, called Without a Net. The album was captured from their recent tours. When released, it achieved gold status sales within weeks of its release, the first Grateful Dead live album to do so. As a result of this popularity, a series of live performances continues to be released and is still ongoing today. The Grateful Dead music lives on. And then in July of 1995, the Grateful Dead played their final gig in Chicago at Soldiers Field. A month later, in August of 1995, Jerry Garcia dies, and the band dissolves. Now, as usual, I've created a Spotify playlist where you can listen to some of the songs that I've talked about in this episode. And here's the link, and I'll also put it in the comments below. After the band dissolves, there have been lots of side projects with various members of the band coming together to continue making music. And then Dead & Company, which has been playing with John Mayer. They've been playing nonstop until 2023, and in fact, they do pick up an occasional gig since then. Then Phil Lesh dies in 2024. And so that's the history of the Grateful Dead, a very long, strange trip indeed, all the way from hippie psychedelia starting in Haight-Ashbury to stadium tours, incredible live shows, that whole wall of sound experience, some very, very good studio albums, and an incredibly dedicated fan base in the Deadheads. The Grateful Dead was a band that had to be experienced. And, fortunately, you still can, through all the music that they've left us. The Grateful Dead have just announced they will release a massive CD box set to mark their 60 years of making music. The box set naturally will contain 60 CDs of live recordings. It's called Enjoying the Ride. It will include live sets that they played between 1969 and 1994. And supposedly, all of the music is previously unreleased. Over 20 shows will be included, and 17 of these concerts are going to be presented in full. The box set will contain at least 450 songs. So like I said, the music continues. Thanks, boys. It has indeed been a long, strange trip. And for all of you, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep it rocking. If you liked this episode, hit the like button, and you can also leave me a comment down below, and I'll respond to you. If you subscribe, we'll let you know when future episodes come out.